Tonight on TBN, Masters Alumni returns. Class of 2017 graduate Treasure Brooks came back to campus last week. Carol K. Ross sat down with Brooks following her speech at morning meeting. Pandemic expiration. The temporary supplemental nutrition assistance program pandemic benefits expire across the country this month. Hannah Schijano reports on how this cut will impact SNAP participants. Local Business Spotlight. TBN speaks with the owner of Dobbs Ferry consignment store, Affordables, who shares the importance of recycling clothes. All this and more next.
Good evening and welcome to the Tower Broadcast Newsroom. I'm Hannah Schijano.
And I'm Zara Savanto, in for Carol K. Ross. We're recapping and following the latest news. The boys' varsity squash team had a successful season, earning a winning record. The boys closed their season at the United States High School National Championships in Philadelphia.
After earning a 6-5 record during the regular season, the boys' varsity squash team closed their season at the 2023 U.S. High School Squash Championships in Philadelphia. The tournament took place over the weekend of February 24th, where the teams competed in Division 5 and came in 7th place with a 2-2 record. The team faced off against schools such as Westport Staples, Dexter Southfield, and St. Andrews.
So for the 2 weeks leading up to nationals, we did a lot of fitness because one of the main issues in our team is that during long points, we would tend to give out very easily. So we just tried to focus on sprinting, fitness, get a little bit of weights in there.
Nationals, I think, were the highlight of the year. I only regret that we couldn't take everybody on the whole team. The nationals are constructed so that you're playing teams that are very close to you in ability, so we had lots of exciting, close matches and a nice amount of downtime, a lot of building of team spirit, I think the kids had a fantastic time.
Freshman Gus Creech said that he felt the support of his teammates while on the court.
They were really supportive. They would cheer as loud as they could. Both of the teams, our team and our opponent, were trying to one-up each other with the sound and cheering. So it definitely made me feel good. They're shouting, just encouragement. You can do this. Let's go. Come on. One more point.
Co-captain Ian Stein reflected on his experience leading the team.
The group of guys who we were with made it very easy to be a captain because everyone was here to support each other and build as human beings, grow. And it takes a lot of mental clarity to stay focused in a game like squash because it's so intense physically.
Ahmed said that he saw improvement in the team over the course of the season.
There was, especially at the beginning of the season, there was a very big skill difference. But I'd say as the season went on, the bottom half of the team definitely closed the gap in skill, and we improved overall as a team a lot.
I love this game a lot, and I hope to continue beyond Masters, beyond graduation. So it's been an honor. I've been very lucky to get to hold this position as captain this year.
Carol K. Ross and Hannah Schijano, TBN, the Masters School.
I'm now joined by TBN correspondent and boys varsity squash member Hassan Saad. Hassan, what was it like for you to compete at nationals?
So it was a great experience overall. It was a great team bonding experience with my team members. First, we won our first match, was very exciting, and also we had great competition over there. Second match, unfortunately, we came short, but we were cheering our teammates for each and every point. It was a great atmosphere. Third match, unfortunately we only lost by 2 points, but we were fighting and screaming for each and every win by our teammates. And we managed to end our season with a win, and which was very great, and I'm so happy for the performance of the entire team. And also shout out to my coach Santi and Dr. Boyer for being great advisors over that time.
Well, congratulations on a very successful season. Thank you so much, Hassan. 2017 Masters alumna and recent Harvard graduate Treasure Brooks returned to her high school alma mater last week. She caught up with Carol K. Ross following her speech at morning meeting.
Hello everybody and welcome to this very special segment of TBN. I'm Carol K. Ross and I'm here with Treasure Brooks, who is an alumni of the school, a multidisciplinary artist, and activist, feminist, co-founder of a feminist media company, and we are going to be talking today a little bit about your career and some advice that you could have for some potential master's filmmakers.
Awesome.
So my first question for you is, Women's History Month began this month on March 1st, and among a lot of other pursuits, you have dedicated a lot of time and effort in working on feminist causes, including co-founding your feminist media company, The Meteor. And I wanted to know a little bit about what inspired you to start this company.
Well, I had been organizing and doing activist work since my time at Masters. I didn't know it at the time that that's what I was doing because I was working within the infrastructure of the school in student leadership positions, but that's definitely where I began to hone my voice as an activist. And later, I ventured into the legal space and toyed in private firms, interning, and then later the public defender's office in Baltimore. And gradually I just felt as though there needed to be an earlier point of intervention in terms of how we could stop seeing oppressive systems cannibalize communities. And through that, I found media was really an opportune space, especially with social media just evolving to the place that it was at the time. And so I went to social media with my activism before it was really the thing to do, and through that endeavor, just the space I carved out there, I got connected to my current co-founders who had already been in the space of journalism, and they'd been doing work with women, except it wasn't through any sort of social impact lens. They had been working primarily within beauty and entertainment, mostly because at the time that they had come into journalism, which were decades before myself, those were the only roles that they were entrusted with. It was incredibly hard to get staffed on hard-hitting news, and so they had to go through beauty columns. They had to work within the women-focused sort of content. And through that, though, they were geniuses and they were brilliant, and they understood women to be far more nuanced and complex than the publications were really giving voice to. And so Cindy Levy, who is in charge of the Meteor and really created the team that now advises on it alongside me, she created Glamour Women of the Year at the time that she was Glamour editor-in-chief. She just really sort of revolutionized the space where women were already gathering, but not in the lens of movement spaces or not with an activist agenda. And so she just sort of co-opted what was already there and where people already were, and that's how the Meteor was born.
And you have recently graduated from Harvard University in 2022 with a degree in art, film, and visual studies. And I'd love to know how you think that you can use the arts to be a power for good for activism.
A lot of what I learned at Harvard was also operating within the graduate school's department, which is called Critical Media Studies. So the undergraduate school focused on art, film, and visual studies was very production and theory oriented. So literally learning like how do we make different types of art, and I guess where do they fall in the canon of different art making practices. And then the graduate school studies, where I was allowed to take courses in as well, and my mentor actually ran that program, we're really focused on how is media constructed? How do we talk about media? How do we change the media landscape? And so the work that I was doing as a student in the undergraduate college was always employing those tactics I was learning in the critical media courses of intervening on dominant narrative. And I think that that is really largely the function of art, because journalism, they're the mythology of objectivity, and there's, it can be a little bit more rigid, it can be a boys' club very seriously, and there are all the means of dissemination of just getting our ideas and our views out are quite difficult in that realm sometimes. But the art space it's a flexible one, and it's an imaginative one that I just found a lot of freedom in, also with my background being in art making. So I think that the real opportunity with art making and activism is to intervene upon things that would otherwise be deemed unquestionable.
And I would love to know, we have a lot of kids at Masters who are very passionate about film and media, and I would love to know what advice you would give to Master's students, especially young women and women of color who are looking to make an impact in the film and media industry, especially through activism. How can they start participating in that in a meaningful way?
I would say collaborate with one another. There's definitely a hunger to be seen and be elevated into new spaces by the powers that be, but there really is so much momentum just happening on the ground with people around you, especially because oftentimes our visions are shaped by the same influences since we're part of the same communities. So something that I was sort of late to the game that I wish I'd done a lot sooner and continue to embrace now because I still am very young is just collaborating and seeing my peers as potential collaborators. Oh, that sounds like an interesting idea, or how can I recruit you into this idea that I don't feel like I'm currently empowered enough to man myself? So definitely I'd say just start conspiring, start be co-conspirators.
Right. And my last question for you is, you've mentioned a lot today in your morning meeting speech that a big turning point in your life is when you discovered your own power, and that you can use your power for good. And I'd love to know, how could one find their own power and use it in a way that can help other people, or use it to find what they're passionate about?
I think it starts with correcting the idea that you are flawed. I think that the first idea that inhibits us from accessing our power is that something's wrong with us. And it's a secret we all keep, that there's something wrong with me that no one else knows, and it's not the thing that's wrong with anybody else, and how do I conceal that? And in the process of trying to conceal that unnameable bad thing about ourselves, so much else falls out and gets obscured. And so I think just relinquishing the idea that we come flawed in any capacity and allowing for us to stretch into our nature is part of being able to witness our own beauty on accident, and then eventually being able to employ that beauty on purpose.
Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time today with Tower Broadcast News. I've been Carol K. Ross.
Thank you, Carol. I thought her speech was very inspiring, and it was wonderful to hear from a former master's student. What do you think, Hannah?
Yeah, I remember Treasure when I was a middle schooler, so it was great to see her back here at Masters on campus, and I'm sure she will continue to have an amazing career.
The temporary pandemic benefits offered through the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program will be ending across the country this month, including New York. As a result, food pantries expect to see longer lines and a rise in food insecurity.
The Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, provides low-income households between $200 to $300 per person each month to purchase nutritious foods. Due to the pandemic, the normal amount was supplemented by an additional $95. Those benefits have now expired across the country, including New York, on March 1st. The cut in food stamp benefits comes as high inflation causes food prices to rise.
There have been a lot of people that, to be honest, have no idea that these changes are occurring. During our home visits, what I mainly try to get across is what exactly it will mean. So it can be a little bit of a tough conversation. Definitely brings a big worry to them about how they're going to be able to afford all their groceries.
Assemblymember Mary Jane Shimsky represents New York's 92nd District, which includes Dobbs Ferry.
There are a lot of people in my district who do depend on SNAP. $95 a month is not an inconsiderable amount of money.
For people that have been on SNAP and were in a position income-wise to have obtained it, that this is a significant decrease in their, in their livelihood.
It is possible to eat healthy and buy fresh produce with little resources, but it is tough, to be able to budget only $6 per person per day. We expect, a higher demand at different food pantries and more people applying for SNAP.
Through SNAP, we have seen during this time period a reduction in poverty rates as a result of this through this program, and now we're going to see probably a real surge in people's need for support.
Most of our food pantries are fairly strapped already. Their ability to continue serving everyone who comes to them is going to be a concern.
They're evaluating, medications, rent, and food, because this has been taken away.
So something that on our end we can do is definitely just referring people to their food pantries, helping them find the ones that are closest to their house, especially for those that might not have a car or might not have any other mode of transportation.
There are a lot of people in my district who care about social justice and are very concerned about this issue, and I have heard from some of them about it.
Overall, I think the impact on the economy it will be minimal. It's going to lower the federal budget because this is going to be taken out of that budget. It's the reason why this is happening in part is because of the budget agreement that was struck between the Biden administration and Congress.
You know, it will make us work a little bit harder, but that's, you know, what we're here for in helping families and seniors.
Hannah Schijano, TBN, the Masters School. The temporary pandemic SNAP benefits helped to reduce poverty by 10%. Now, over 30 million Americans are facing the effects of the benefit cut, which was passed by Congress last December. Do you know that there are 3 coaches here at Masters who once walked the same halls as you? Coaches Andrea Fisher, Mark Whitley, and Shomari Moore shared their experiences as a student at Masters and what it is like to come back and coach at their high school.
Coaches Andrea Fisher, Mark Whitley, and Shomari Moore shared their experiences as a master's student who came back to educate others in the sport they love the most.
This place has been my home, literally, since I was 15.
I just love that it's like a home.
Came back because of the great opportunity they allowed us to have here.
Coach Fisher played D3 basketball at Mount St. Vincent and is currently the girls' varsity basketball coach here at Masters. In Fisher's words,
basketball's always been a part of my life. It's always been my passion. So in my 2 years here, I was able to win the FAA League Championship and then the Tournament Championship 2 years in a row. And then went on to play 4 years of Division III basketball and was able to get 1,000 points in college. I think being a part of a team that had a huge impact on me as a student athlete, being able to be a coach of that same team, that same program, and being in a position now to try and rebuild it, I think that's what I'm most excited about, and what I love most about it is, one, just being around the sport, but also being with a great group of girls that love the sport as much as I do.
Fenced in college and high school. I fenced in high school at the Master's School, and then in college I fenced Division I for St. John's University.
Coach Moore described his D1 experience as,
at the Division I level, you have to be a real athlete. A lot of fencers don't understand that before they get to college. It's a full-time gig. It's not just about classes. You got to eat right, work out, train hard, all that stuff. You know. Coaching part of coaching, right? I have all the knowledge and all the technique aspects, but how to really connect with a kid on a one-to-one level and to kind of motivate them to continue to train is a whole different aspect of it. So a lot of these coaches are actually teachers as well, so they have that nourishing and kind of like loving, fatherly, motherly feel, and that's what I've learned over the years from them.
Coach Whitley is the JV2 boys basketball coach. He played basketball his whole life and continues to inspire his players.
I played basketball my whole life. It's a passion of mine, so coming back to the school that I graduated from was something I want to do. I try to inspire the players to just do their best. Like, I want them to go out there and just play hard, do what they need to do. The kids are just vibrant, and you know, they make me want to come to work every day.
Zara Suvanto, TBN, the Masters School. Hannah, do you think you will come back to Masters and be the varsity tennis coach?
You know, Zara, I actually have not given that much thought, but who knows? Maybe I'll come back one day and join Mr. Lester to coach the girls' team.
I'm sure he would love to see you. And finally tonight, if you have children's clothing that is no longer being used and taking up closet space, give it a second life. TBN spoke with the owner of Affordables, a consignment store right here in Dobbs Ferry. Take a look.
Affordables provides customers a way to shop and sell sustainably.
The business has been in Dobbs Ferry for over 40 years. And what we do is we take in children's clothing, equipment, toys, books by appointment, and we get them ready for sale, and people can come in and buy them. A lot of charities won't even take kids' stuff because they don't want to take the responsibility of checking it. So it's a little different than doing adult clothing. People that dress their children in our store, in our clothing, are often told, you know, I love your clothes, they're so unique, because the things we have come from all over. So it's not what you see in the Gap this year or Walmart or whatever. We have a list now of over 17,000 people in our system. Every consignor has a number. And when things come in, you know, their number's put on it or the bag is put on it, so we never mix up who gets what. We're trying to keep things out of landfill and help people make a little money and give people a way to recycle their things.
Greenberg said that consignors receive between 40 to 50% of the selling price, depending on the item.
We want everything to be in good working order. It's all about, not throwing things out. My son just came back he took a Thomas vintage piece. It's like a power station and it wasn't working, and he took it home, took it apart, and now it works. So I could sell that. Someone will be happy to get that, and otherwise it would have been thrown out.
Greenberg said that she has seen changes in the market over recent years.
The biggest change is people have other things they can do with their stuff. So, it competes with us. People put it online, they put it on Facebook Marketplace. That's fine when you buy that way, but, be careful that you're not buying something that's recalled, broken, or, whatever. Because we do check that, and nobody else really does. People come in all the time and say, I love this place. I don't know what we would do without it. This kind of, appreciation for what we do, that we give people a place to bring their things, and that we're trying to be sustainable and green and all that. It's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding, and I think we're doing some good. You'll never find another store like this.
Hannah Schijano and Alexa Murphy, TBN, Dobbs Ferry, New York. And that's all we have time for here tonight on Tower Broadcast News. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to Tower Broadcast News on YouTube and follow @Masters Tower on Instagram and Twitter. I'm Hannah Schijano.
And I'm Zara Savanto. From all of us here on the TBN staff, have a great night and a wonderful spring break.